All right.
And please be gentle with him. It is his first time, you know.
We try.
Thank you very much.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
Hola.
Hello.
Oh.
Elizabeth?
Yeah, hello.
Hello. You will read the question from the blessed order because I really don't get the questions. I don't understand them.
Yeah.
So if you could read them.
Blessed order. 1 second.
Some questions were unclear, like really unclear. Maybe we can ask them to rephrase them somehow.
Yeah, but they are not here.
Yeah, that's the drawback. Well,
Okay, we are live. So Binart is here.
Yeah, hello.
Okay, hello. So this is a PvP related AMA sessions with Binart, the lead game designer of Life is Feudal MMO. Thank you all for being there and for the question you submitted to the dev.
Skin the color of bars.
I'm Lofay from where I'm from, and I will be your moderator today. I will call people in order for them to ask one of the questions, then Binart to answer, maybe Bobik.
Close smelling like
Questions, follow-up will be okay if needed. But you have to remember we are limited time, which is 2 hours, there's a lot of questions. So keep focus on PvP related questions. If discussions get off topic or last too long, I will call for the next person to ask questions. Be respectful to each other. Don't talk over one another, please. Thank you. And first person will be Mido. Your questions, please.
I have given my question to the list, so I guess since in theirs. But anyway, it's more like a suggestion. It's not a question. But what I've noticed, and you all seen that is in every server that has some PvP at least, it always ends up with 2 major sides, like either blue or red, either whatever you want to call it. It's normal because people need to protect themselves, so they just get to one side or the other, and then we end up with a major half the map against half the map or something. I suggested a system about in-game standings to form alliances instead of we are friends with those guys, we join the IB together or the fight together. That could be solved by just add, as it is now, like add 1 extra IB that it will be smaller, that will be only guild related. So it means that to enlist you need to be under the same guild tag. That will be like 20, 25 men, I don't know, whatever. It will be less damage, of course. And then you will have a kingdom related IB, which only people that are in the guild or vassals of that guild can join that IB and list in that IB, which would be the 50 men. I don't know the numbers, it doesn't really matter. And then you have an alliance IB. People need to form an alliance, will be a system. A guild through the standings joins an alliance with some other guilds and they create something. This way, this will be the big IB with the more damage. How to prevent people jumping guild to guild to just join the IBs. Still, you need 1 day cooldown. And I don't understand why we don't have something like that. Give 1 day cooldown to change guilds so people cannot just randomly change guilds to enlist with this system. That means in order to damage a smaller guild, you cannot, because a smaller guild doesn't belong in an alliance. You cannot drop an alliance IB to them. You can only drop a guild. If it's a kingdom, only a kingdom IB. And you understand the logic of this. This way, the smaller groups will be somehow protected to a Zerg. Like, they can only be damaged by a guild IB, which maybe they can feel it and fight it if it's 20 men. So the bigger alliances can only drop a guild IB in them. You have to limit how many IBs they can take so you don't zerg them with IBs every day. And they will live a little bit longer, and they have actually a chance if they are good enough to win the IBs and not get zerged. This is my suggestion about how it needs to work out, of course, and I'm not a developer to fix the details. It's a general idea about how to prevent half the map fight against the other half of the map. And that's my suggestion about how this maybe could be prevented. Is a system like that possible to be added in the game?
About the system of IBs, as I understand, anyway, if you will try to separate big guilds from small guilds from alliances, either way, players can find the way to participate in these battles. You can't for real create some system in which people will be restricted from participating in them. These artificial restrictions, they will not work. Because anytime you can create an alliance with your another characters, you can create small guilds with your another characters. So this just won't work.
Well, Mido suggested timeout. Of course, it will prevent a lot of such abuse, but still it will not completely remove it. Second part and third part. Well, I mean, in my personal opinion, I don't really think that we have to limit the possibility of participating in instant battles in any way. I mean, if somebody wants to participate, he can participate on any side. And it's only the problem of those who are outnumbered that they were unable to attract more people on their side, no matter what they did. That's why I don't think that some ways of artificial limitation of IB participants based on something, I don't think it's even right. Well, of course, nobody likes to be zerged, nobody likes to be outnumbered, but still, life is feudal. We don't have a session game where there is exactly 16 versus 16, or Dota game when you have 5 versus 5.
And at last, you always has a ratio of standings 1 to 3. So
no, standing participants.
Yeah, of participants.
So we might consider changing this ratio, but I don't think we will going to do anything about like trying to abstract participants on some artificial game rules that will be bypassed anyway.
Okay, I'm covered.
Okay, Tyranno, your questions? Tyranno? Are you here? Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question. I write to Mikti. Mikti speak for me. I don't speak English very well.
Okay, so next, Kodaban, your question, please.
Hello. My question is about the siege ladder, or at least is it possible to be able to build the current stairs on enemy claim on Judgment Hour, or thinking about to improve the siege instrument and adding new ones like more range for trebuchets, adding siege ladder, big ones for the granite walls and the small ones for the stone walls. Then defenders could use a special weapon to throw back the ladders, introduce the ram on boiling oil, cauldron, something like that.
All of this in different way we have in our plans, but this all will be implemented after we will implement the sieges. Because, as you understand, this all are really connected to each other. And also about siege ladders, it is not so easy to implement it as you see to do two different heights for stone walls or for castle walls, because people build their forts on different heights, on different terrains, and it is not so easy as you describe it. About boiling oil and other, yes, it also will be implemented, but of course later, when the real siege will come out.
Okay. Do we have some time for it?
Soon.
Bobik?
Okay.
You expected some other answer? Come on, you already know us.
Yeah, I know.
but all, I mean, on a serious note, it's not something we are doing right away. But I'd say that it's not far. I mean, it's not that far. You know, it's not something you can expect in next week or next month.
No. Is it for the next major patch?
No, not yet. Not yet.
No.
No.
Okay. I'm done.
Well, let's continue. Yeah.
Okay, the Mario.
Hello. My first question is about CG machines. When we can see them in game.
That's actually the same
machine?
question. The siege machine, you mean?
Yeah.
That's the question that we just have.
Yeah, siege machines will be implemented right now as we will implement sieges.
Okay, right.
And the bar box stairs. About bar box stairs, it's same as the sleeping bags, silent locks. You will remove one, people will use another. Merge soon. This is question for Bobik, not for me.
And Bobik is not going to answer it yet because it's not a general AMA, it's a PvP AMA. And again, I believe we had this discussion, and there's nothing much we can add except that we're going to prepare the second major update and sooner or later switch to free-to-play with some kind of launching partner, additional launching partner. But about bar box stairs and so on, I just want to elaborate a little bit more that you must understand that once we remove bar boxes, once we remove sleeping bags, locks are going to be used. Once we're going to remove locks, tables and chairs and so on will be used. And it will not take that much time, as some people say, to prepare the improvised siege ladder out of tables. That's why we don't think that it's again really needed an effective way to remove collision meshes from sleeping bags. But our recent changes actually made it really hard to use them in ways it is not allowed to do. I mean, you can no longer urgently drop such movable objects and use them as a stairs or improvised siege ladders. And sorry for interrupting, Binartom, go on.
Either way, most of these objects you can destroy really fast. Any combat skills, dual swords, for example, no dual swords for the early time, because this is really hard to implement. It's deep in game mechanics. Changing goal standards, goal standards. No. About changes in guild standings to make more easy conditions, I suppose the current system is pretty clear and no need to make it more easy or more difficult because the current system works. Defense weapon was already answered about attack them. If you mean natives, this is a plan for the next major patch. Just changes one thing like about judgment towers for Scotland and Irie, there was some polls which result in the staying of the current schedule. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, Sev, sorry.
So my question is, do you guys plan on implementing any balancing for weapons and armors? Kind of change up the meta?
Yes, the combat patch, which as I remember, announced already in August, which was supposed to release in September, and I'm still working on it. It will be released, I hope, the next 2 weeks. There will be a lot of changes at first for an armor. It will be the system will be changed to less weight difference between armor types for more speciality in armor mitigation, in damage type mitigations. There will be a speed bonus system change. Part of it is already done. About no more speed bonuses from the mouse cheating. I suppose you understand what I mean. More parry and block bonuses, and some other little changes, which soon you will see.
Okay.
Okay, SF Gary, your question, please.
Well, I have plenty of questions, but I choose one that's I think the most important for me. I'm dealing with loads of recruitment in my guild, and I also train PvP for newcomers. But at this point, it's so complicated, as we know, new people coming to the game has low alignment, so they just can't afford to be killed constantly for the training. And I was thinking about if you're planning to implement some more way to fight like in the arena. But I see a problem in the arena battles that mostly only the Berserker or Vanguard class can participate in the arena fight properly. I hope everyone see this. And I was thinking about like a new type of IB, where people can participate and there is no loss or win bonus for the teams, so they can keep their equipment and items after the fight, just like after the arena, or like a system for kind of like an arena system for 5v5 or 10v10 for teams that were preformed, like
team deathmatch.
Yeah, like team deathmatch, where it's like in another instance, like the arena, but more open. So all other classes like archer and lancers could participate in the fight, because at this point they are pretty useless in arena. Yeah, that's mostly this.
I see here two questions. First, about team deathmatch. Yeah, there are plans to implement it. So there will be a team-based arena which you will participate with your mates. And yeah, in this case, of course, other classes will be more viable. About second question, the method to train your new recruits in fighting with no deaths and no skill loss. I was thinking about it quite time ago to implement some definite training session which players can use, just fight with each other with no results. It was kind of duel system. I'm not sure if it will be implemented by the next major patch. I suppose it will be implemented a little bit later. There are, in my schedule at least, this implementation. But yeah, we will do something for it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Maple, your question, please. I don't see your.
Yeah. So I had a question about if there was any plans to increase the amount of open world PvP that doesn't revolve around bases or outposts, like hotspots or some sort of random event, maybe that people would fight over with valuable loot.
The first point, there will be PvP over PvE when we will implement natives, because I suppose you understand that the sessions of raiding natives, it will be some common time, it will be nights, and I suppose it will be really funny sessions to one group is raiding natives, another group is raiding the first one, and the third is raiding the second one. So yeah, there will be more PvP and open world.
But I just want to add that we already have outposts, so we're going to have native PvE spots, and as Binar said, they're going to be PvP over PvE. And I'd say we will see there how it's going to proceed, and if we see that we need more hotspots or PvP hotspots, well, we might introduce some kind of similar outposts like points of interest that are worth to raid, to control, and so on. But so far, I do hope that native villages should be enough for additional open world PvP. Yeah, maybe non-player made outposts. Well, pretty much native native village will be some sort of non-player made outpost, because they will generate loot that you will get from killing them, and that will be some kind of resources that will be valuable for those who are raiding those villages. Let's go on.
Okay, Troll Picken.
Yep, hello. Well, my question was already answered, so I have a couple of them prepared. Okay, one of them is, could be possible to implement some way how to make damage to people that go into the water, because with the system now the only way possible is to throw arrows. It could be possible to have like a knife or kind of weapon that you can use in the water to kill actually the people that go into swim. This is the question.
No, there are no such plans. And also, for example, how do you see the system? What if both of you are with knives? Is it one fast kill, or how it can work?
It could be a fight in the water, yeah.
Maybe you can go into the water with bleeds or something. Just a suggestion.
With bleeds? Sorry, I didn't understand.
Let's say you have a wound and you're bleeding, basically. That when you're still bleeding, that you can't swim. So you take like extra damage or something.
Oh, I see what you mean. Oh. You know, it's possible.
Well, it's possible, but I mean, if you are not bleeding, then what?
Then you can just swim.
Well, I mean, in that case, you will escape from PvP, and it's fine.
Yeah, but it lowers the chance. That's what he's getting at.
So, okay, we're talking now about the lowering amount of way how to escape the PvP, but not like completely removing.
Of the game and balance. So first of all, I want to ask, when you make decision about changing, for example, you change stats for weapon, for ammo, what kind of way you pick, make some changes? You read community or you test something to make some choose changes and weapon, ammo, whatever, in this way of balance?
I use 3 stages. First of all, I'm looking for videos of gameplay from IDs, from Arena, and also I'm using statistics from these battles. The next one, I'm talking with people from community, which I already have some contact, the people I know and which opinion I believe to be proved. And the third stage, this is Excel, Google spreadsheets, and testing.
Okay. And one more question about how you, what your vision, how you can bring people back to the game. Because I understand, my point is it's a really good idea to make NPC for small guilds, small community who don't have access to big PvP. Of course, it's a good idea. But the main point, what right now we are doing in Judgment Hour, we making sieges, we attack outposts, but if its situation is done, people not really have nothing to do. So maybe you try to add some taxes system, some land control in future. Like this idea with outposts was really good, but I think it's be not bad idea to create some outposts what can create wall lands, whatever, and just put some taxes. So people just want to have some power to control the lands and fight for the lands. So it will bring more PvP content in the global world, in Avalon and Scotland, whatever.
Let me answer this moment. Well, first of all, I do understand that PvP people want more reasons for PvP.
Yeah.
That's pretty much obvious here, and nothing new here. But the thing is that it doesn't simply work that way. I mean, when people can fight, they fight, and they don't need much of reason for that. But when they cannot, they choose to endure or to leave. You know, when we're going to have some way of controlling the whole land, and you will have to pay taxation. If people will not be ready to fight you, they will not. If they will be ready to fight you, they will fight with you. And it doesn't really matter if they're going to pay you taxation or not during the time when they decide not to fight. I mean, of course, it will increase the probability of defending their interests, but also it will increase a huge amount of possible ways how to grieve those who don't want to be part of this huge politics and land control system. You know, there are a lot of communities of like 10 people, 20 people that are living away from major roadways and major wars, and they just having their own fun. And in that case, there will be more tools how you can, you know, enslave them, you know, like literally. And I'm afraid that in most cases, the result will be that they will live somewhere else, and hopefully that there will be some other gear, some other world. But in some cases, it can be just some other game, and that's it. And you will not get your PvP, and we will lose more players. So
Yeah.
everyone must keep it in mind also. I mean, I'm not against more PvP, but we have to be careful with that.
Yeah, but some people stop to playing because they don't have nothing to do. We back to this thing, sheeps and wolves, and like this. So I don't know. You choose, and of course, and we can only tell our feedback. So and we respect your vision of the game, but
no, Mate, I understand there is a problem that there are not that much sheep, and for sheep, we don't have much grass. That's true. And I'd say that in order to increase the population of sheep, so the population of wolves that are eating sheep will also increase, and we'll have fun fighting each other or hunting for sheep. We need to increase the amount of grass, and that's what we're really lacking. Not the ways how wolves will be able to entrap and kill sheep even more faster. You know.
Yeah,
that's the real core of the issue, and that's what we're aiming for mostly right now.
Yeah, and one first small question about you trying to fix some people use a lot of mods, a lot of soft. They use just press one button and you will have combo. People use zoom. People use a lot of soft to play in this game. So I think they use fog. The people use some other option of the game. So we really worry about this. And when you plan to close a console or possibility of people to use other soft, because sometimes it getting annoying when some guy walking around just press one button and he give macros, he got combo. So
well, I understand this part. Well, first of all, macros can be even done on keyboard, and there will be no way how you can counter it. Like literally no technical way how you can counter it. About zoom, we have limited the zoom, so all the current zoom scripts are within the allowed rates. I mean, you can no longer zoom as you could a couple of months ago when you could have a 5-degree zoom that actually gave you like what X20 scope, like on a sniper rifle. You can no longer do it. You can make a little bit of zoom, but it's basically the same way how you can tweak your video options, So it's basically the same. But in general, I agree that there are some mods and some software, and we're also working in this direction of possibly removing the ability to run unauthorized scripts, and that should disable like 99% of software. But again, we will not be able to disable software that is working outside of our client, like a typical cheat software or macro software or clickers or anything, But sometime later on, maybe we're going to implement some kind of client-side pro middleware. But again, we all know that there are also not a guarantee, not a 100% hacker-proof, unfortunately.
Yeah, thank you.
But situation should get better soonish.
Okay, so I learned that Balgroove should go on soon, so he will take his question right now. Balgroove?
Okay. Hello. Is there do you have any idea on preventing 100 IB spam on the same claim? I mean, for example, when a random guild gets 2 totems at the same time, with the actual population of the game, it's almost impossible to fill them, even if they put several small ones. Is there any chance that you could add some 30 or 40 minutes delay between IBs that are set in the same claim?
Bobik, I suppose that's a question more for you.
No, about 100 IBs?
No, it's about putting a delay between 100 IBs to prevent spam IBs at the same moment.
Well, actually, we discussed it with Binart, and he could answer it, but no problem, I will answer it. Also, so again, I have answered on this question maybe a dozen of times. So we have we have a maximum amount of IBs that allowed per guild, So you cannot get more than the tier of your guild monument IBs at once. But yes, you can get a couple of IBs at once, and it is allowed. And it's like in real life, you can have a couple of enemies marching towards your lands from different sides. And it will be your decision how you're going to distribute your troops, your army between those IBs. And also recently we implemented the penalty for attackers if they didn't show up on an offensive IB, so they get a double. They lose a double tiles of radius. So I'd say, in my point of view, it's a viable tactics when you put a couple of IBs and you distribute your attacking force and defensive force accordingly.
Even regarding the current population of the game.
And again, it's not about population.
No,
That's,
I'm just following.
No. Let me explain. That's a hardcore player mentality. When you see an IB that is meant to be 100 versus 100, nobody will even try to go on IB if you have only 99 people online. Because if it's said 100, there should be 100 players. And if you don't get 100 players, that means that you will never go on such IB, even if it's only 50 on your side and just 40 on their side. When there is a major IB, it's not necessary you need to fully pack it. It's not really necessary. And when you have a major IB, it might turn out to be like 20 versus 30. And it will be fine.
Got a question on that. What about if it's a new starting guild that just comes to the game and he gets, by the bigger factions, IB'd by 100 people and he just has 10?
No, that will be too unfortunate for them, and if they will be unable to get some allies, life is feudal. But the second question is, who is actually doing such an IB and for what? I mean,
well, I'm not gonna give names, but it happened before with smaller guilds that just had 20 people.
Yeah, that's true. That's really unfortunate, and that's one of the hugest problems. Again, we're getting back to wolves and sheep discussion. A new ship is jumping on it simply because they're hungry. There are no more ships. They're bored or whatever, and yeah, it's not good. And we can try to implement some kind of artificial protections, and that's actually why green walls are created.
Yeah, because right now, basically, we feel like it's really getting forced. There's two sides basically playing in Avalon mainly, which is the bigger groups, and we feel like everyone gets because if we were to do such a thing, then we force somebody in the opposition party to do that, and if the opposition does that, then they force them to come to us, which leaves no chance in having new factions. In the game.
You should be happy that at least you have two sides, because on some worlds there is only one side and everybody's dying of boredom.
I get that, but it's also fun to fight somebody different that has a new faction, for example, once in a while, than always fighting the same people that basically are running into the same things over and over.
Well, of course, that's again we're getting back to the topic of population. Because the more people, the more chance that some kind of third force will emerge and kick your asses, and maybe you will have to cooperate with each other to oppose it.
I understand, but there is also some people that would like to get to know the game and start up first before getting in these major battles, so they can build up to it, then directly be forced to it. I don't think it gives new players really a chance to start out.
That's why we created green worlds, where they can start out and be in relative safeness. And if they feel that they are ready to flex their muscles on Avalon, they will have some kind of backup on the green world.
What if you want to start out a PvP guild and you want to PvP all day, but you don't want to directly be in this like bigger factions? Like you really want to build a PvP guild.
What if you want to kill everyone on site, but you're unable to do it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, basically.
I mean, so if somebody wants something that he cannot achieve what can we do with that? I mean, the normal way that I see for a proper guild, when you are new to the game, and even if you want to go for PvP, you should have some kind of knowledge and backup. And Green World is perfect for that, because on Green World you still can get some fights and open world PvP and even IBs. So you can get a lot of experience for that, and only after that, when you have some kind of when you have leveled characters and economical backup and so on, then you should go on Avalon and try to wrestle something there. But if you are new to game and going on Avalon, maybe it's our fault that we do not warn that much, that warning a lot of hungry wolves on Avalon, and we should not let anyone join it unless he got at least 100 hours into our game.
No, I get that. But for example, if you want to go from green to mainly playing on red, like I actually have your characters always on red, then you need to buy the thing to transfer your character, right? Or is it right now? I'm a bit unaware of this actually. You only have to transfer once.
So if you want to transfer once, you don't have to buy anything.
Okay.
And then you can trade it with your alternate characters. You can trade resources. So it's free. Well, no, not free. There's some coin price, but I mean, it's easy. And only if you want to jump with one character between the worlds, that payment. That paid item will allow you to jump each 2 days instead of every 5 days. But again, I think it's doable and possible for you to play and level up on Green World and then transfer on Red World and fight there. And there will be no much reason for you to come back on the Green World.
All right.
But let's continue.
Okay, Brego, you got a question?
Actually, I have to do Brego's question as well because he can't talk right now. So yeah, Brego's question actually leads up to a suggestion. It actually got voted the most from our community. So, what is your opinion on removing instance battle and bringing territory warfare to the open world with new game mechanics, like for example, outposts? There is a whole suggestion that I sent that should be sent to Bинart before. I can link it in here if needed. But it basically is linking outposts to claim and making people fight for those outposts to win territories and actually have visibility on the territories you control. I'll post it in here. It's an idea somebody made from us.
I think we read it. Maybe Bernard can comment, but I think we briefly discussed the way that we believe so far that native villages, native camps should be enough for now as a PvP hotspots. And I explained it earlier before that we want to get more meaningful PvP into instances because it provides because in such case we can make sure that we provide the best optimization for such PvP, that there will be no farmers or terraformers terraforming the land or planting crops at the same time when 200 players are fighting each other, and that adds to a total lag that everyone suffers from. That's why instant battles actually were created. Because of course I completely understand that open world PvP is so fun and so easy, and you just travel and you see an opportunity to fight here and there. But again, we're always up for small scale open world PvP, but we both know that sooner or later it results into 200 plus stage in one node that turns into lag fest, and everyone is crazy. And
well, his point was like I get that totally, Bobek. But the thing is, if you take away focusing on instance battle and focusing on a world, he expects to have the open world working properly better as well.
No. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not possible. It's technically not possible. Whatever we do, there will be other players who will perform other actions that will provide a load on a server. and we can do nothing except then removing such players from such node. But we cannot remove anyone. I mean, like saying that no, you cannot plant your carrot right now because 200 players are fighting not far from you. You know, we cannot do that. It will basically freak him out, and he will be right because he doesn't care about your mega fight. He wants to plant his carrots and have fun with his horses.
Yep.
You know, and that's why we architecturally designed instant battles and game mechanics that actually allow you to pre-design the setup of the teams and make sure that only those teams will be in instant battles. So it's not about that we're working very hard on instant battles and that's why we are not providing enough love to open field for PvP. No, basically almost all the optimizations that we do, they work for both IBs and for both open world battles. And some of optimizations that were made only for open world battles. For instance, like our 1 or 2 months old optimization with collision detection, because in instant battles there are not that many collisions, but when we're talking about open world siege, there are a lot of walls, chests, and buildings that provide a lot of collisions and that cost a lot of lag.
And also dynamic forests, also
dynamic forests, terraforming, and so on. It's all add up, and it's not something we don't have priority to do. No, it's simply technically not viable.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's quite clear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ragnar, your question, please.
I'm actually going to take my questions since I don't have any specific questions that have been mentioned.
Okay, so before I ask my question, I want to quickly say something to the question Rational and Balgrove asked about the 100 IBs or spamming IBs, and just in general the dynamics of a PvP server, because I think it's really important. You know, on a PvP server like Avalon, no one likes losing, right? And if you are faced with having to fill 100 IB or several even that are placed at the same time, the only solution is to find allies, right? And this leads to just bigger and bigger coalitions until in the end, there's only 2 coalitions left. And then you get an extremely stale game. As Rational said, you're fighting the same guys in the same IBs over and over and over. And it leads to a stale game. So I completely agree with Balgrove that placing several on one claim at once isn't good for the dynamics of the game. And also it takes away agency of smaller guilds or smaller coalitions even, because even medium coalitions struggle to fill 50 IBs. So yeah, I mean, maybe smaller IBs would be a solution also, to give smaller coalitions or smaller guilds a chance to do something.
I mean, I believe you understand it yourself that small IBs will not change anything, because it will still be the 2 major coalitions that will threat with open world consequences or multi-IB setup, or just, you know, by any ways. I mean, as soon as we have 2 major forces, if they want to be involved, they will be involved, no matter what kind of limitations we're going to have. And I believe the main, and I mean, I've seen it many times, like in many games, and I actually like the way that you have 2 major factions on Avalon, because as I said, some worlds have 1 major faction and they have they don't even have anyone to fight with. You know, you are fighting the same people, but they have simply no one to fight, and they are even
bad, right?
Yeah, that's even worse than bad. But 2 major coalitions, it's more, I'd say, I have seen it in many other PvP games, like in Shadowbane a couple of times on some worlds, and in Darkfall, I believe also, because it's a human nature that somebody is struggling, trying to grab more and more power, and somebody wants to oppose him. And if there are like, you know, like back into the Cold War period, you know, it was back the same thing. I mean, in real life, when there were 2 major fractions and a lot of allies from both sides.
Kyburn, you might have a different question because this is just a follow-up on the previous one.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
that's
This
true.
was just a segue to what Rational and Balgrove said. So my real question is about PvP balance and specifically melee PvP, melee weapon balance. And so I see there are a few areas that are very stale or that are unbalanced. And just as an introduction, as far as I can tell, there's 5 factors that balance or around which a weapon is balanced. The first one would be how many skill points you need. You know, having a weapon from the Huskarl skill takes, to use correctly, 210 skill points versus a footman only 90. Then the second factor is attack speed or swing speed. The third would be the weapon weight. The fourth would be the multiplier, the damage multiplier. And as far as I can tell, right now we have certain weapons that are just unbalanced. And yeah, I'm sorry, Maple is correct. There's also the hitbox. Of course, I forgot that. That was the 5th one. And as far as I can tell right now, several weapons or several skills in skill trees are just not balanced. So just to give an example, a sword in general, doesn't matter if it's a one-handed or two-handed sword, has obviously a good hitbox because it can hit with the entire length of the weapon, which is fine. But then you have like one-handed swords, the falchion, for example, that not only has the whole length that it works with, but it's also very long. Like it has almost the same reach as a bardiche. So that's completely unbalanced in my opinion. And then, so I like the idea of weapons having different hitboxes, and you can also, there's a lot of skill involved. Like if you have a sword that is easy to use, but like a Bec de Corbin that only hits with a very small pick at the tip is hard to use, it's fine, but there should be a reward, you know? And so I think we really need to look at hitboxes. It's really important that they are balanced. And then, as I said, the first point, the skill points. Right now, for example, just as an example, the Huskarl weapons are extremely weak compared to the swordsman and even the footman weapons, which makes no sense. I mean, you're spending 90 skill points for a one-handed axe that deals or works just simply much better. It's easier to use. And the most major, one other thing is the damage multipliers, you know, that work together with the weapon weight to calculate the damage it deals. And the same way, you have one-handed swords and one-handed axes that have multipliers of 2 or almost 2, while you have Huskarl weapons or guard weapons that have only 1.4, which means that they use their weight much less efficiently. And, you know, if you have a high weight weapon, you need more strength, which means you have less hit points as a character. So again, another big unbalance there. And then finally, and that's, in my opinion, the biggest unbalance is the combos. Right now, any weapon that has a left-right combo or a combo that starts with left-right has a massive advantage because the combos increase the attack speed and they override the attack speed. So basically the whole balancing around attack speed of all the weapons is invalidated by these combo speed ups. And the worst offenders, so to speak, are one-handed swords, which get the left, right, left combos, which are extremely fast and spammy and deal way too much damage. So my number one ask would be, you need to remove the speed up of combos. It just needs to go. It completely breaks any balance in the melee weapon category. So yeah, that's my most important point.
Okay, I will try to start from the hit notes and hitboxes. Yeah, all the weapons are different in this way, different reach and different places of hit nodes. Of course, for example, Berdish and Felshon have different set of hit nodes, and Felshon is much easier to slash opponent. Berdish is harder, but still they have different type of damage. For example, Berdish, it's chopping damage, which provide more damage for most of armors, while the Felshon has only slashing damage, which is mitigated for most of armor pretty good. So even if you're talking about that the reach of Felshon and Berdish is pretty same, Berdish is now much more effective, and a lot of people are now using it as their main weapon. Also, about different skill builds and skill lines. Yes, some classes have more easier go to become efficient warrior at the start. But if you are using the top tier weapons, if you are using the less skills for it, they are all provide you the pretty same level of efficiency. We're talking about Huskarl, who, for example, has Morgenstern and Shield, which are also very effective, for example, against the plate armor, which is very weak against pierce damage. And also, a lot of people are using now this, that's not a net, of course, but a lot of people are using it, and they're using it pretty efficient. About combos. Yeah, there's a point that some combos are easier than others, but with current system of controls, when you can set any type of hit for different keys, you can use any combo with same comfort. But of course, I agree that the speed of different hits is different, but meanwhile different hits provide different damage, they provide different reach, and the most time it is balanced in this way. About combos as fast speed hits, you can use a parry. You can use a parry, which provide stance for the people who are trying to use combo against you. This is first point. And second point, in the next combo, in this combat patch, which will be released soon, there will be more bonuses for parry and blocking. So the combos will not be so easy to use. Well, they will not be so rewarding.
Okay, but I don't understand why a normal combo, I'm not talking about the parry combos and something, those are fine in my opinion. But I mean, just the normal chain combos, where you have to chain 3 hits of different directions in a specific order to get the final bonus attack. I don't understand why the 3 or the first 2 hits in that combo chain get a speed buff. Like, it's unfair. It doesn't make sense. It unbalances the whole, every weapon has an attack speed, or, attack speed is divided into 3 parts, but every weapon has specific attack speeds, and the buffs that these combos give, these speed boosts, they completely invalidate any balancing around this weapon speed. Like if, for example, let me give you a really simple example. The Bardiche, or even worse, the broad axe, they have in their last, as I said, attack speed is 3 speeds. The final speed is the pull back speed. It's actually really long for broad axes. It's like 1.8 seconds. It's so almost 2 seconds, and it gets completely invalidated by just using the left-right, because your combo goes left-right overhead. They don't even use the full combo. They just use the first 2 hits, the left-right, and it completely invalidates the speed that is really slow. It makes it really fast, and so it's just it's extremely unbalancing, and I don't see any reason for it. You know, I mean, I guess the reason was that, you know, you decrease the time the game remembers what swing in what direction you did, you know, and so to help with that, you basically made it swing faster, you know. But the solution would just be remove the speed buff, or just let the weapons have their normal speed, but make the game remember what swing in what direction you had, make the game remember that longer. So you can get your combo, but it just takes normal swings in the right directions to do it. And then I want to quickly say the first thing you said about the hitboxes. You're comparing the falchion and the bardiche, who are the two most used weapons in the game by far, you know, except maybe for lances. And there's a reason for that. It's because their hitboxes are so easy to use and so big, which, as I said, isn't necessarily a problem, but there needs to be a drawback. Like, compare the bardiche or the one-handed falchion with, let's say, a bec de corbin, yeah, which is a spearman weapon, which no one uses. Literally, I haven't seen a single person use that weapon. And the reason is the hitbox is tiny. It's just a little tip at the end, you know, which is fine. It's realistic. But the problem is there needs to be like a payout. Okay, it does piercing damage, but it doesn't deal that much piercing damage, and it's just not enough, you know. It doesn't make it balanced. There needs to be a better payoff. And as I said, the bardiche, I'm fine with it the way it is, but the real problem is the falchion, because not only does it have an easy to use hitbox with its entire length landing a hit, but it's also extremely long for a one-handed weapon, which makes absolutely no sense, you know. It's just unfair.
At first, about speed of weapons, the hits and the effect which provides swiftness from combos, they all work only by percentage. So it doesn't change the speed of hitting completely. It just change by, as I remember, 10% for one magnitude. Yeah. So it does not completely change the speed. So if you will take two weapons, one is slower, another one is faster, and you will compare them fighting using in the combos, you will see that they still have the same difference in speed.
I see what you mean with percentage, but the problem is not all weapons have combos, and most importantly, they are not all the same for all weapons. Like, the combo that goes left-right for the first two hits is by far the best, and that's just the assaulter, the vanguard, the one-handed axes, and the one-handed swords. The Huskar weapons start with overhead, and overhead swings, that's something I haven't said, but is actually really important. No one uses overheads because they are extremely hard to land compared to a side swing, which is much, much easier to land, right? So there's no reason to use those combos, or no benefit of using them, let's put it that way, compared to a left-right combo. And as I said, for example, the assaulter and the vanguard, they have their combo goes left-right overhead, but no one uses the overhead. So people are just using left-right. So it's basically people are abusing the combos for a better weapon speed instead of actually using the combos, you know?
So sorry to interrupt, but I think I understand what Keyburn is trying to say, and well, you please answer, but I'd say maybe we can talk about it later together with you, because I see a rational point behind Keyburn words, but please make an answer, and maybe tomorrow we're going to discuss it in more details. Maybe we really have to address this part. But of course, Binart, feel free to answer. You still have something to oppose.
I suppose you have answered. Let's try to talk about tomorrow with Keyburn, but I'm not sure that we should remove sweetness, because at first this is the way which populate combos between you players. They see the profitness from them. They understand how to use weapon at the first time, and I suppose it's good for learning, for practice.
Okay, I mean, I'm fine with that, but then maybe make it so the combo, every weapon have similar combos, so every weapon gets a left-right starting combo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see a point. I'm not sure how to answer this because the combos were created really a lot of time ago with, of course, with some system we discussed, we considered with Bobby. And at this point, I can't remember the reasons for these sequences for every weapon.
I think the point you want to make is for now there is a meta where some weapons are overused. So do you have any plan to make like the time you spend skilling much valuable and more weapons used during combat?
Of course, this is one.
But
of
maybe you
main...
can discuss more properly with Kyburn, or and we can move on other questions.
No, actually, yeah, that's a good point. Let's.
Okay, so
yeah, of course. I'm sorry. Yeah, of course, we will discuss it more carefully tomorrow. But still, guys, everyone who's looking, everyone who's in chat, all the propositions, ideas about changes of the weapons, they are always welcome. I'm trying to listen and read all of them and use in my cases. So feel free to write.
Okay, Balar, your question.
Hello. I would like to ask about some possible statistics for the SAM system, like damage done, deaths, kills, parries, and this.
What do you mean by statistics? What kind of statistics?
For each person, for each character who play the arenas.
Oh, like ladders and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you mean personal statistics or statistics for everyone who played the arena?
Personal statistics, I think.
Yes.
Personal statistics. Yeah, I suppose it's possible, but of course we need time to implement it. Maybe we should.
Well, I think we should think about it, consider it. I mean, it doesn't sound that complicated, but it doesn't sound easy too, because, well, the main experience that we got through all the years of development of this game, if something sounds rather simple, it is not. Well, because it always takes a lot of time and efforts to do it properly and to test and to fix it and so on and so forth.
But that's something you're looking into.
Well, yeah, I'd say it's not a bad idea. Yeah, why not? But nothing is promised, so no ETA.
Okay, so next one is Padre.
Yeah, hello. I have two questions. The first, it's about lenses. Lenses every time have any problems, any good ideas, and I want to ask about that. Lenses in future will rework it maybe or not, because, for example, what I mean, some horses not use it so much. For example, war horses and spirit horses and heavy horses. So of course in open PvP, open world PvP, for example, heavy horses not so much use it. Maybe in future we get a system same lots tier first, tier second, and etc. And second question I want to ask about what we should wait in future. Maybe we get new features and ideas for what maybe you remember, Bernard, I write you about miss strike from arrows and person damage to lads who use it, and this mechanics same get in MMO. So.
Yeah, I remember you wrote me. I have it in mind. I thought about implementing this combat patch, but I'm not sure that I should do it right now before releasing the changes of armors. As you understand, this is really connected between, so it can lead to real mistakes if I will implement both changes at one time. A second one about horses, and some types are not used in IBs. There will be changes for horses in this combat patch. So again, let's see how it will be done, what you will think about it when it will be released.
Now I see lenses. It's a real meat, because when he go in many people's horse stop it every time. Stop it, or people stop it, or terraforming stop it. Now again in anti-cav, of course it's good, but now really lenses haven't escaped from this situation. In future we get escape maybe or not.
At first, there is a little rework on unstoppable effect, which will work better now. This is the first escape option. The second one, I have the controversial ideas from people who do not play cav, and they, for example, even asking for turning for horses that they cannot turn for some time after being hit. So after anti-cav implementations 2 months ago, cav is not so popular now, and I see this is a good result of my work, but they still can be used in open field. So if you are coming on a horse to the lots of people, to the crowd, of course you will be killed. But if you are using a horse in open field, you will be king of it, and that's okay, I suppose.
Yeah, I forget about one question. In melee, cavalryman cannot give a lot of damage and hasn't a good combos, and we get in future or not.
There will be no combos, but there is on the way rework of horse melee animations, which will give more possibilities to hit when you're using sword on a horse. But it will not come out with this combat patch. It will be later.
Yes.
Can I quickly interject there? I'm pretty sure the horse sword, so broad bastard sword, and what are they called? The knight sword, they can use combos if you have either assaulter skill or the swordsman skill. You can use, it says even in the description.
Yeah, I know, but in real it's not popular, because if you use two hands bastard, for example, he have a little distance, and you take more damage because you, for example, haven't a shield.
Well, for what I want to say, everything that I hear, everything that I hear sounds correct to me. I mean, if you are charging headlong into a lot of troops and you are being stopped, that's right. And the fact that you are stopped in the middle of many troops and you get more damage that you can deal is also right. So far it sounds that everything is working correctly. But if you are, skipping around and attacking only single or two-man groups of players that cannot stop you, that means you are doing everything right. And even if they manage to stop you, you still you probably knock down one of them, and you can use cavalry weapon to deal with another once your horse is re-enabling the speed back, you know.
But in reality, if you come in many people, you cannot escape in this many people.
Well, that's right. That's I think that's what I heard from you. That you said that it's a problem that your horse can be stopped in the middle of the crowd. No.
It's a little because I don't know, but if we look reality, okay, but horse go away too fast, but it's we cannot because stop it every time. Brodex stop it, Antikov stop it.
well, in reality, if horse will be in the middle of a dozen of men, it will not be able to run away that fast. Well, anyway, let's continue. Yeah.
Okay, Midgard, your question, please.
Okay, my question is about what about remove the blood on the shield? Simple question.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Can you repeat it, please?
He asked about removing blood on shields because of colors and other indications that it gives. Like you have a red shield and on a blue team, stuff like that.
I see. Yes, it's possible, but it's not our priority at this moment. But yeah, it's considerable. I suppose we will do it.
Okay.
Elizabeth, do you have question from Blessed Order?
Yeah, I basically tried to decipher a couple of them. So, 1 moment. Let's see. Okay, let's start with. I think this one is like the most interesting. Yeah. Can you add a team arena mode, which perhaps would include objectives?
I suppose we have already answered this question. When we will implement the team-based arena, of course, later will be implemented some objectives, maybe like King of the Hill or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Okay. Then we also have a lot of specific questions from him. Okay, let's at least try a couple of those. So that was a question about being able to jump while armed with a pole arm. With this possibility be brought back to the game?
Yes, it will be brought back.
Okay, cool. So let's try another one. Yeah. He was also asking something about pikes, that it's not really cool where you can only use them while standing still, which is not always ideal. So is there perhaps a plan to maybe add a speed buff or make them easier to use to move with them equipped?
Yeah, we already discussed it with the Bobik. Yes, there will be steps in this way, of course with speed debuff, but yeah, it will be done.
Well, yeah. In my personal opinion, pikes are not used that much. Well, maybe except when somebody want to kill somebody inside the house. But I mean, in an open, in most of combat situations that we saw in videos or observed the statistics of pikes are not that really used, and we believe so far the reason for that is the fact that you are immobilized and have to position yourself carefully, and there is like no real formations holded by players and so on and so forth. That's why pikes are not used, and we'll probably have to make them mobile and maybe be more usable as primarily anti-cavalry weapon or mid-range weapon. We'll definitely work with them.
Okay. Thank you.
Rational, you have questions since you take Brego's questions last time. Rational? you already
Sorry,
asked
my
it.
microphone was muted. Oh, I asked the one for Brago. I skipped mine to give everyone else a turn because I talked a lot. Yeah, my question is basically, it was asked before actually in the last AMA, but I didn't really feel like we got an answer on it. It's about removal of the remote signups. Reason to go outside, and we had like smaller skirmishes on the way, so there was a lot more open world PvP content. So in my opinion, that would be really great to make the game more alive, because I think that's what it needs.
We're on the same wave with you at this point, because I think too that remote sign up for IDs should be removed, but as also you told, it can be done a little bit later when we have bigger population placed in one map on one server, because at this time, for having at least some PvP, you need remote sign up. When this problem will be solved, we will remove it.
Can I add one more thing to that?
What?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Basically, like I said, we don't think it's a good idea right now. Probably when it's open for free to play, basically, and with the new map, because we think it will be more territorial war, and that comes back to the point I said that everyone gets involved in this blue versus red war, and that was kind of prevented, giving new players a chance to start something out on their PvP style.
Yes, I agree with you, but at this point we can do it. So when the population would know, yeah.
Okay. Next question. I think Mighty have a question from Tyranno to ask.
Yes, I think it's question B about from Turan about Lex. How you try to fix it? This a future. What idea you have? And tabards on horses. Yeah.
Adding tabard on horses, I suppose it's more to the Bobik.
Well, yeah, Bobik is personally making tabards for horses. I'm just a okay. Well, I mean, what I'm trying to say that we'd be glad to implement them, but it will, but it's also something later on in development, and it's not that easy as it sounds. I believe I answered it somewhere because it will require some more implementation rather than player-based skins or modifications. Because when you have a horse that has a tabard, but this horse, the owner of the horse was killed, but the tabard is still on, or should it disappear only if owner of the horse has dismounted and somebody else sat on the horse? I mean, it's all going complicated. Because in the case of the player, we know that player is in a guild, and and tabard has the heraldry of this guild. As soon as tabard is dropped into inventory, you cannot see it. As soon as it's equipped on some other person, you can see the heraldry of this person. But with horses, it's not that obvious because, well, horses will still in the world when a couple of person can sit on them and dismount and sit back and pack this horse and unpack and so on and so forth. So what I'm trying to say, would be glad to implement tabards for horses, but it's not that easy as it sounds, and I wouldn't even say that it's soon, but sooner or later we'll have to implement them, that's for sure.
Yeah, and one part of PvP content, people want to ask about poisons. What future of the poisons in these games? Because for now, many people thinking they unusable because they really you need to spend a lot of your skill cap, and in new meta, people start using poisons, and many people really like this, and they really worry about this, and they asked me to ask this.
So let's bring back overpowered poisons back. Yeah.
It's people just ask about this because many people enjoy this, but in this balance, also I can tell from my side it's unusable. So it's cost too much skill cap, and people spend a lot of time to create good poisons, and right now they don't have nothing to do. People use some others, but many people stop to use poisons.
Binart?
A lot of people stop to use poisons because really they were real overpowered before the nerf. At now, I suppose they're still usable, and a lot of people still use them. But yeah, they're not so efficient, but you can still gain some advantage from them. So I do not see the point to again buff them. At least at this moment.
Yeah, but you check statistic, you're working on watch the video, and I don't know, maybe some people will disagree with me, but right now in this meta, almost no one use poisons in instant battles. Maybe some special people use it in open world PvP to take slaves, for example. But it's, I don't know, maybe you can add some else what can give you more strange, because people in this profession don't have nothing to do right now.
I agree that we should do some rework in alchemical potions, because after nerfing the poisons, this is not so efficient skill line. But no more buffs to poisons, but maybe more buffs to other potions. Not at this combat patch, but when I will release that one, it is in my schedule. I even have an issue in GitLab for this point. So.
Yeah, but we understand. We just we try to understand how you pick your decision with change in balance, because of course you will find always people who will be not agree with you. It's so easy to understand, but sometimes we try to understand why you do this. So it's my opinion, maybe also others will disagree. Sometimes you go in too much with something. You just buff too much or just kill. So I don't know.
Or nerf too much. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes it happens. This is maybe this is a result of the iterational workway. When I take one part of the game, working on it, changing it, implementing the game, then take another. Yeah, sometimes errors happens, but I'm trying to avoid this, and I will try to avoid in the future. So I will return to the potions, and people will be satisfied. I believe.
So we can start a vote or poll, thumbs up or thumbs down against the Binart. Should we keep him or not?
No, we
okay, it's noted.
Yeah, come on. No, my point, maybe we can find a really easy way to make some feedbacks, because I explain you, some people is lazy to use some Zendesk, whatever. So maybe to create some form to where people can leave easy feedback for future, maybe we can help Binart, and we want to help to find a good balance for future for us. Of course, we understand you can make this is good for all. All people have their favorite classes, and they just worry about their favorite classes. So, but we just if we have more easily options to help you with the feedbacks. This is all.
Okay. I have a question from the chat.
Just a few more seconds about feedback.
Okay.
I think it's really important, and I want to say that any way of feedback works, but the best way will be mentioning Binart in a GD AMA, or simply provide a feedback in a private message. That's but we also ask for feedback to be structured, and if it's extensive, be done in some Google document or forum post, because when you see a feedback like Lancer sucks, make Lancer great again, and nothing else, and no arguments or anything, well, okay. But if we see a lengthy post of 1 page with arguments, with videos, with examples, with calculations and so on, that's a whole different story. And in that case, you can prepare it in any way it's convenient to you. Like, well, we use Google Docs online a lot, but forum post or even TXT file will work, and just share it with me or with Binart. And so that's a good way to make sure that we see it. It's not that much of a rocket science. And sorry for interrupting. Let's go on.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so as I said, question from the chat regarding claims about PvP. What about reducing term claims to force people to build on ring claims to drive some GH open world PvP?
Talking about the red, I saw feedback of many other players. Our current town claims are not big enough. So at least for a lot of guilds. So I'd say we already have such way of motivation for larger guilds to step outside of town claim.
Okay. SF Gary, you had a question? You told me? Kingdom of Tyrul? Gary? Hello?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Right. So I have 2 small questions. The one question is about in the state of the siege, castle walls and keeps can be easily destroyed in like 10 minutes by using trebuchets. And this short time compared to the 2-hour fight in the Judgment Tower is pretty short. So this is one part of the first question. Another part is the keep is too tall, so it just pops out from behind the castle walls. So it can be so easily destroyed just even before the enemies gets inside. So is there any plans you have for this?
About the keep, no, we didn't. There was some rework about solidity of the fortifications depending on the height and sizes, but not much changes for the keeps. And about the first question, could you repeat it, please? Because I didn't understand it well.
The first part?
Yeah, the first part.
Well, it was about that castle walls and keeps can be destroyed easily and so fast compared to the Judgment Tower time.
That's also is. You see, the first, there will be changes to trebuchets. So mostly you will work against walls and buildings with trebuchet and siege bombs. The walls will get more solidity, so they will not be destroyed so fast as previously.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and other question is, so we have had siege before. We were in the loser side. I didn't care. It was fun, but the most frustrating thing about the whole siege was the lag itself. So I don't know how many people were there, but I'm pretty sure it was more than 200 or 250 maybe. But the server is so laggy. So is there a chance that you will move these kind of sieges into an instance?
Yes, that's our major plan, to move all the, as I said, all PvP important events into instances. And yes, as far as I remember, there were about 274 players on this node. And that's exactly 74 more players than a theoretical maximum of one server node can hold.
So, do you have like an estimated time of this implementation?
For sieges?
Yeah, like this system itself.
We're working on it for a lot of, I believe, from January this year, with different levels of success, and I'd say it's about only 50% done. I mean, it's really complicated, and there are a lot of cave ads and hidden problems. So it's not that fast and easy as we'd like to, unfortunately.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So we might go for next round of question quickly because we only have 30 minutes left. So Coderban, do you have a question?
Yeah. I want to ask about when you kill someone in the arena or the instance battle with poison, the kill didn't count on you. Is it normal or not?
No, that's not normal. No. This is.
You already made the research?
What?
Sorry. Well, I think we discussed this with you, and we found out that there are some complicated ways how it can be implemented. So we can implement it sometime later, but not like really soon.
Okay.
So
I thought what we have agreed that this shouldn't be implemented at all.
Okay.
This should be always a decision of the guild leader to change standings, and this is his main role. So no.
No, yeah. Sorry, my bad. I missed it with another point.
So only the guild leader will be able to change standings and could not give this power to another person in the guild, right?
Right.
Well,
Never.
he can transfer leadership.
Yeah, you can transfer leadership, but you cannot have several people changing standings in a guild. Okay.
Not even the Viscount, because for example, I used to be in a guild where I was a diplomat, and I took care of all diplomatic stuff, so relations with other guilds. And my guild leader went offline for 2 weeks because he had a holiday, and we had new allies, and we couldn't change standings, even with enemies. So we took a whole lot of alignment. A lot of people got negative alignment from that, just because there was nobody around.
Yeah. Well, I'd say in such cases, guild leader should pass his leadership. But I agree on such points. Again, maybe we'll think more about it and reconsider it.
Okay.
So it will end with problems.
Yeah, there will be a lot of problems.
Every rights which you give to other people is always ended with problems, which people are whining about. The rights to use, destroy, it's just the same. When you will give somebody a chance to change standings, it can end in the same kind of problems. And the standings, it's...
But I mean, yeah, I can see in chat that it's only standing, but it's not just a standing. It's an alliance and a war, and if some person misuse his power, or he can also harm a guild in a quite significant way. So okay, as I said, we're going to consider it.
Okay, like more flexibility into the role control and permissions. Okay.
Yes.
Maples, you have questions? I don't know if it's here.
Oh man.
Sev, you have a question?
No, I don't.
No. Mighty?
No, thank you.
There is a question in the chat from Maple Cove about do you plan on adding additional permission checks and steps to prevent all inactive accounts from being used to completely destroy, blah, 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 blah. No, we are not planning. This is the obligation of the guild leader and other people who give right to accounts. If you gave somebody right, you should deny this right, you should remove it to maintain such a situation. This is not our part of the job. This is here inside guild politics. So, no.
Brego, you have another question?
Can I answer on Sharana's question?
Yeah, sure.
Well, back in December 2017, we really thought that they're quite close, but after some more additional research, we realized that we missed a huge chunk of synchronization of assets and asset destruction and inventory and containers in instance and between instance and real world, and those things appear to be not that easy as we thought before. So yeah, and truth to be told, we were not always be able to work on the sieges, so we had to spend some development resources on bug fixes and optimizations rather than implementing sieges. That's I'm answering Sharana's question about the state of the sieges now that we're almost ready in 2017.
Okay. Prego, you have a question?
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily, well, I guess it is technically a question. It was more so that from what I've gathered was that majority of things were moving towards more like the sieges were going towards like more of an instant or an instant zone, and more things were kind of be taken away from the open world. And I was just wondering how much you're actually going to dedicate towards going and fixing the open world and getting that more stable, because that's for my guild personally anyway, it's one of the driving points coming from Life is Feudal Your Own and the constant open world that we enjoyed there. To see that kind of die off more so in the MMO is kind of a buzzkill for us.
I think we have discussed it already.
Yeah. We were just kind of hoping to get a final answer on exactly how much is going to be taken away from open world, because we did love that. Yeah.
We don't want to take anything away from open world. We want to make sure that again that meaningful PvP events, the meaningful, I mean, events that lead to lose of influence or lead to lose of your guild, the whole guild or the whole town, they will happen in instances. But less meaningful, I mean, like random encounters, so raids, so on and so on, can and should happen in open world, and we are not going to remove it. But as I said, we always should keep in mind that technical limitation is there. That 200 players on one node is our theoretical maximum. That's actually where 10,000 players appeared from. So we have 49 server nodes, and each can possibly hold up to 200 players. That's where the theoretical maximum of 10,000 players appeared. Yeah. And as I said, in open world, so when it's something really important happening, everyone and his mom will be on this node. And of course, it's going to be lag, and nothing really we can do with it. Even if we do impossible and optimize it to be working well on 250 players. On 300 players, it will also lag. Everyone should understand that it's I forgot this word in English. It's not linear increase of complexity. It's how it's called. Квадратичная зависимость. Бинартом, Elizabeth. Cubic. No, not rectangle. It's a cubic. So what I want to say that when we have 50 players online, and when we have 100 players online, it doesn't mean that the load on the server is just 2 times bigger. It's actually 4 times bigger, because for every player we have to calculate his vision and his actions towards 99 other players, and we have to do it calculated for everyone. So when we have, like, let's say 20 more players, it increases complexity like 10 times. Well, not 10 times, but at least in multiple amounts.
Yeah, no, that's all clear. It was just there were certain small things that happened even recently. That was anything from the siege that happened recently. There was like insane lag, upwards of like 800 to 900 ping. That's understandable with like upwards of 150 to 200 people. But I think it was sometime last week as well, we had a problem where just as we had the upper hand in a smaller fight, I'd say there was roughly about 25 people there, split between either side fighting. The server went down like 3 times in a row, I think. And I understand I had this discussion with Arrakis that there was obviously there could be anything that could happen at this specific moment, but there was a lot of anger coming from my guild and from our side when there was things that were happening in our favor. And of course, just as we thought we were getting somewhere, something went down in such a small group.
Yes, there are also we know of some cases, and maybe you remember when we had problem with our site. The thing is that there are definitely certain players in certain guilds or alliances we failed to track yet, but we're quite sure that they have their own bot network. And so we get DDoS on random occasions or not so random occasions. And DDoS is something that is really hard to react instantly, especially when it's going up and down really fast, and we all have only logs instead of real situation that we observe. So all I want to say, that's true, we have bugs, and that might sometimes cause inadequate lag of the server. But in normal circumstances, like 200 players should be fine. But when you see lags when there are only like 20 or 50 players around, that's more for sure it's either bug or some way of DDoS attack, or maybe I still believe there might be some kind of exploit that allows a couple of clients to lag a server to the death,
Yeah, I've noticed that myself.
And those things we hunt for, those things we're looking for, and when you have such cases, that's actually when we ask to press Alt plus N and to make a video to show the traffic amount between your client and the server to observe if there is something fishy about it. Not about your client yourself, but about overall state of the server, because we can get logs of the server and his work, but it's really complicated to get logs of what and with what rate is sent from server to your client and what your client sees.
Right, yeah, that's perfect then.
Okay. Rationale, you have a questions about bed, I guess?
Yeah, there was a question about sleeping bags. Lately, it's been removed that you can like combat drop them and stuff. But with the lag we have sometimes in sieges, it's almost now impossible to siege certain bases where you have to build a bridge. It's not possible because I get it's like bats are really cheap to make. is it possible to just make beds like transparent so you fall through them because there's like a weak kind of material, for example?
Then logs will be used, or bark boxes, or tables or chairs. Well, I think we discussed it already. Well, I think we can do something with sleeping bags, but again, you should expect that something else will be used instead.
But can't you do the same with logs, for example, then?
Yes,
yeah, it's
exactly.
Yeah, all right.
So that's why, I mean, removing sleeping bags will mean that something else will be used instead of sleeping bags.
It's just where you draw the line.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
Right. And that's why we removed urgently drop. I mean, it's not only sleeping bags, it's everything, every movable object that you will urgently drop or will not be collidable now. So I believe we fix this part. And you can create a siege ladder only on the land that you are allowed to place objects on. Because when somebody was using urgently drop, he could drop stuff like anywhere, literally anywhere. That's
Okay, but for example, you're sieging a claim and you need to build a bridge to get to this claim. There is a lot of lag, so you're teleporting all over the way. It takes 20-30 seconds to load the thing where you can actually like manage to drop it and where you want it. And you're getting shot by arrows. It's impossible to do it now.
Life is Feudal.
All right.
well, I mean, of course, I mean, it's a normal human reaction when something was easier, now it's harder, and you're upset about it. But I'd say
no, it's not the point. It's like if there was no lag, then I would be fine with it. But the lag makes it impossible.
Well, we talked about the lag, but I think that the proper way to fix it is to fix the lag instead of making possible to urgently drop sleeping bags.
I agree, but that's not the case. We don't have no laggy servers, so I can kind of balance it out.
Well, I understand you.
Right,
Still, okay.
Yeah,
maybe
Bobby.
last question.
Yeah, last question.
Well, at least for me, I'd like to
okay,
go, but maybe Binart will be up to stay a couple more hours up with you.
So last question to Bobik. Yeah, I will take it.
He
I will
fell
take
down.
I will take it.
I have a question. Can you add like a big shield, but that will be carried over the head by two people to protect some people, like the carrier of the stairs to go until the walls or something like that?
No two people carrying one shield. It's nearly impossible to implement, but using shield, taking it over your head, yes, it's possible. It's considerable, but not soon.
We have to find a way to protect people from the top, because the shields cover only from the front.
Well, I understand what you're talking about, and I'd say it's a good idea. So we can implement a huge wooden umbrella that will cover that he can use to cover his teammates. When I say umbrella, I'm just joking, but I mean I understand there's some kind of.
I know the point. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand some way of large shield or mantlet or just a wooden block. Well, not a block, something that will cover the carrier and cover somebody
like
around him.
Like a tall mantlet or something.
Well, yeah, it's part of siege engines that we have to look for it, but we'd better to implement sieges first.
Okay, I think it's 10 minutes left. You might take a few questions, Bobik, or
one or two questions in the end. I'd like to go.
So there is a question that I have that's not really related to PvP, but they still ask me to. Do you plan to make North America server character to be transferred to Avalon?
Yes, we're working on it.
Working on it. Okay.
No, I'd say I expect it to be really soon. You know, not soon, really
Not
soon.
soon, really soon.
Yeah, yeah. Do you feel it?
Yeah, so like 1 month.
Come on, what are you talking about? 2 months, of course.
But you know what really soon means by now.
Really soon is 2 months now.
No, come on. But do you know what 2 months means?
Really soon.
That's right. Okay. Oh.
So I think we're done, right?
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for coming and give us all the answer.
And yeah, thank you for coming here also, and thank you for hosting it and organizing it all. And thank you, Elizabeth, for helping with organization. And thanks, Binart, for being so patient. No, not patient. Patient and well, it was his first time, and I think he did good. I don't know, at least in my opinion. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, it was very good.
Super nice.
Well, yeah. Thanks,
Awesome.
Maybe Binar will want to say something, but I'm done here.
Guys, thanks a lot for questions. Thanks a lot for trying to understand my English. I will try to make best what you want. Also, I would like to repeat, feel free to write me with ideas, with positions. I will try to maintain them. Thanks a lot. If sometime you would like to make some another AMA with my participation, I'm okay with it, and I'll try to do it again. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, have a good night. See you guys. Bye bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye bye.